The views and opinions expressed by the On the Spot with David Rodgers show are solely based on the show's hosts, guests, and viewers. We are solely responsible for all show content in its entirety and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of any sponsors in any way. These broadcasts are presented and made public by the On the Spot with David Rodgers team in the hope that it'll be entertaining and informative to our viewers and listening audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's 7 o'clock and time for On the Spot with David Rodgers. And now, here he is, Mr. Friday Night, the show pony himself, the man, the dream, the legendary David Rodgers.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to On the Spot with David Rodgers. I'm the show pony, David Rodgers, alongside Michael Heater. And joining us behind the camera is our very own Mitchell Gunner, alongside Dave Holland tonight. Great to have you along. Tonight's show is sponsored by Miracle Automotive and Towing. When you need automotive help, don't pray for a miracle, call Miracle. And by Mitchell Gunner Racing, sitting right behind us over there. Be sure to follow Mitchell's latest exploits and all things motorsports on our sister show, On the Spot Motorsports with David Rodgers, starring our host, Mitchell Gunner, and his co-host, Alexa, which will be this week on Thursday night.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, so we'll get into that here in just a little bit. Let's get the show started as we always do, with our prayer, our pledge, and our patriotic quote of the night.
I like it.
Mike, I'm going to do a little something different tonight.
Okay.
We have a special guest tonight. He is a pastor at a church, and I'm going to ask Mr. Kris Elkins if he'd lead us in prayer tonight. Would you mind doing that, sir?
Yes, I'd be willing to bet he's probably got some experience.
There you go. If you'll just come over, and if you'll lead us in prayer, please,
Yeah,
sir.
let's definitely pray. Father God, we just want to take time to thank you and praise you to God for the rain and the sunshine today, Lord. God, you are in complete control, Lord, and I pray to God, Lord, Lord, for Bradford County, Lord, I pray for our country, Lord, I pray for families that are hurting, Lord, I just pray, Lord, that you just do miracles, Lord, and throughout our country, Lord, and I pray to God, Lord, for someone who doesn't know Jesus, Lord, that be saved. Lord, I pray, Lord, you please protect us and please protect others out there, Lord. We ask this in Jesus' precious and holy name. Amen.
Amen. Great prayer. And Mr. Elkins will be back with us here in just a couple of minutes. Let us all stand for our pledge. And I'm going to ask Mr. Dave Holland if he'd lead us in our pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. All right. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to On the Spot with David Rodgers. Michael, it seems like it's been an eternity since we've had a show. 2 weeks now in a row. Had to call reinforcements in.
Yes, we did.
We called Mr. Mitchell Gunner in, who does his show. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. But I just want to let everybody know, Michael and myself and Dave, we're taking care of the Facebook issues that we're having.
Yes.
All it is, it's an authorization thing.
Yeah.
Hopefully Facebook got our stuff.
Yes.
And we're looking into this. We get this authenticated back, and then we'll be able to go on Facebook Live again through our vMix, Dave. That you, he's praying, he's over there.
Like that.
He's going over there. Yeah, that's exactly right.
StreamYards is fine too.
Boy, I'm going to tell you what. You talking about stepping in, Mr. Mitchell Gunner stepping in. Not only does he host the show, he don't even co-host it. He hosts it. And then he's coming in here and helping us out with bringing our show to our wonderful fans.
And that's after working all day.
And that's after
like
working
6, 7, 8.
And he's still got to get ready
days
for
a
his
week.
show. And he's still got to get ready for his show.
And his kids and his wife and his home.
That's true. So, hey, I'm sure he's over there laughing. See? Yeah, okay. But anyway, we're going on to the quote of the night. I got two of them. So, anyway.
Okay.
All right. For everybody, to include our fans and our viewers listening in, diplomacy is the art of saying nice doggy until you can find a rock. That is not a founding father.
No.
It is a actor that was back in the 1920s and 30s, and I'll even give you more of a hint. He did a lot of cowboy shows.
I know who it
Kaitlynn?
is.
Any guess? Dave?
Something Scott.
Okay. F. Scott? Okay, good guess.
Fitzgerald Scott.
Fitzgerald Scott. Okay, good guess.
How about Roy Rodgers?
How about Roy Rodgers? Okay, not bad. That's a pretty good guess. Chris?
Well, I know I'm going to be. I know. Wow, Western. I'm going to be way off here. I know it is Ronald Reagan.
Okay, the nice guess though. That's not a bad guess.
So Mitchell took my guess.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go, not to steal his thunder. So I'm gonna say John Wayne.
You're going to say John Wayne.
Yeah, I'll say John Wayne.
All of y'all were very close. I don't know what we have up there for comments, Mitchell. Let's take a look. What do you got there?
We'll see if we got some
Let's
comments.
see if we got some comments. I do see some comments up there. That particular person would be, you were on the right track, just the wrong timing, Will Rogers.
Wow. Okay.
I was thinking
Byron said the Duke. So
The Duke. And
we were
so,
on the same page.
y'all were
with
on
that
the same
one. Yeah.
page. But Will Rogers is who said that.
There you go.
Yep, back in the 1920s and 30s. All right, here we go. This is a founding father.
Okay.
A great one of my favorites. Well done is better than well said. Thomas Jefferson, would you like to go with him?
the founding father.
It is a founding father.
Oh. Could you repeat that again?
Yes, sir. Well done is better than well said. Mitchell?
I am going to go with Franklin.
You're going to go with Benjamin Franklin. Nice guess.
Hancock.
John Hancock.
I've heard this before.
Oh, you have? Okay.
And for some reason, I'm thinking Adams.
You're going John Adams?
Yeah, for some reason,
Okay,
I'm thinking
nice
John
guess.
That's a good-
That's a great guess.
Good guess here. You and everybody else is saying that one. So no, I'm gonna go. I'll go Jefferson.
You're going to go
I'll
Thomas
go
Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. Since everybody else is.
Do you want to
jumping
go
on the
with any
Mitchell
one of these
bandwagon.
answers, or would you like one of your own?
I honestly am just sitting and listening. So I'm going to take
Kaitlynn
a
Betty
to
is
sit
with
and
us.
learn.
Kaitlynn Betty is with us. She'll be on the show in just a minute. I tell you what did Byron Bagwell say?
He said.
He said Franklin?
He said Ben Franklin. Yes, he did.
Well, guess what? Byron would be absolutely correct.
Yeah.
You and Byron got it, Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah.
And you know why Byron knows this, and I wish he was here tonight. He uses them all. So, I'll be dadgum.
Yeah.
Anyway, there we are. So, again, welcome to the show. My gosh, Michael, Dave, Mitchell. It is just so glad that we can do a show. Been 2 weeks. I've had the heebie-jeebies. And to be honest with you, you know who reached out to me last week and said, David is having the heebie-jeebies. Let's bring him on our show. Do you know which show I was on last week? Yes, you do, Mitchell. Go ahead.
Oh, you was on Tuck and See.
Yes, I was. I was on
Yeah.
Seeing Tuck the other
There you
night.
go.
I didn't want to stay up that late, but I was having the heebie-jeebies, and they let me come on, and they call it the Adventure Team is what they call it, instead of the round table like we do.
Oh, I got
It's
it.
called the Adventure Team. So I was part of the Adventure Team, and I was just so glad to be on the air, man. I tell you, I was having some heebie-jeebies. You're exactly right. But hey, don't go anywhere, because here comes the round table. All right, anyway, so this is the round table. We go around the region, around the table with the latest news and notes, brought to you by Harry Business in the Deerfoot Plaza, home of the $10 haircut. Call Dave Holland and Company at 904-964-3338. And if y'all don't know Dave, you are the King of Sting, the Count of Montefisto, the Dancing Destroyer, the Prince of Punch, the Thane of Pain, and the Master of all disasters.
That was me.
You were fantastic. I got something for you later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So anyway, here we go as we start. An investigation continues into the cause of a fire that destroyed a home in Stark and left one man dead. Curtis Lee was removed by firefighters late Friday night from the house in the 1100 block of Pratt Street. There were no other injuries, and the investigation by the state fire marshal is still ongoing.
Absolutely. Hey, a reminder that part of the Florida Transportation's Stark Railroad Overpass Interchange Improvement Project. No, I'm not saying that again. State Road 100 between Temple Avenue and Water Street will be detoured starting tonight and every night the rest of this week, beginning at 5 p.m. to allow for the installation of beam placements. Now, the detours will reopen at 6 a.m. every morning.
Stark City Manager Drew Mullins, one of our favorite people, is expected to have a budget ready to present to city commissioners at their August 2nd meeting. Public hearings will take place in September, so any workshops or additional budget work will need to take place, Mike, in the interim.
That is correct. Keep going.
Commissioners did settle on the proposed tax rate. They will avoid a $50,000 tax increase by adopting a rollback rate of 4.7854 mils, down from 5.0909 mils. Mullins was instructed to base the budget on this rate. The public hearings will take place on September 6th and 20th at Stark City Hall on Thompson Street.
There we go. Hey, if you were in Alachua County and saw deputies running around school campuses earlier today, there's no cause for an alarm. The Alachua County Sheriff's Office was conducting active shooter training exercises earlier today. Now, each year, deputies spend 2 weeks doing this type of training, and surrounding counties also conduct similar training as the new school year is rapidly approaching.
There we go. High Springs Police arrested Nathan McCullough, 63, on Monday after he tried to take a John Deere lawnmower, Dave, out on a shopping trip. How about that? The problem is, McCullough crossed a highway to go to Winn-Dixie, and guess what? He had no valid driver's license, which makes his operation of a lawnmower on a highway very illegal.
That's right.
How about that? And why does McCullough have no valid driver's license? You want to take a guess? Hey, because he was arrested in April for doing the exact same thing, David. Driving a lawnmower to go shopping at Winn-Dixie and already had a suspended driver's license, according to High Springs Police. But I tell you, I would like to know what that lawnmower looks like. I bet it's got a big old basket on the back of it. Hey, he's cruising, man. He's got all his groceries in it. It's probably got a topper over it. Oh, it's probably like a dune buggy.
I didn't know you have to have a driver's license for a lawnmower.
Only on
if you're any motorized vehicle on a public highway, and if you're crossing State Road 45 or in Stark, if you're crossing State Road 20, it is technically illegal. Now, a lot of folks around Stark, there's a couple individuals in particular that do operate lawnmowers, but you have to have a valid license in order to operate on a public roadway, whether it's a moped, motorcycle, car, lawnmower, whatever it happens to be.
And you know, this is where Mitchell, just real quick before you go on to the next story, this is where Mitchell, when he's on the show with us and comments about it, is talking about the four-wheelers and the side-by-sides, the way that they operate. You hear a lot of these accidents happen with those kind of things, as Mitchell said, because they shouldn't be on roadways like that. They shouldn't even be near roadways like that. There's a proper place, as Mitchell said, in time to actually drive those things.
Absolutely.
You're next.
Well, in that case, then.
There you go.
Do you enjoy a good old-fashioned cops versus firemen rivalry?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, by golly, have we got one for you. The public is invited to come out for the Boots and Badges basketball tournament at Lake City Middle School this Saturday. The first game starts at 2 p.m. as police, deputies, and firefighters from Lake City and Columbia County raise money for the Columbia County Youth Sports Association. Admission is only $5, and kids under 5, they get in free.
Boy, I tell you what, man, we ought to go check that out. Also, this Saturday, Hartwell Handy Incorporated of Keystone Heights and the Fantastic Fire Brigade are teaming up to present an end of the summer bash at Keystone Beach starting at noon. There will be a cornhole tournament, games, bounce houses, and more. This event is absolutely what, David? Free. How about that? Hey,
I like that.
if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, you still have time to run to the store and try your luck playing the Mega Millions for a chance to win $810 million plus the nation's fourth largest jackpot prize ever. If your ticket matches all 5 numbers and the Mega Ball in tonight's drawing, you can become an overnight multimillionaire. How would you like to have that, Kaitlynn? Just an overnight millionaire.
I'd like that. I could buy a big chunk of farmland to start with.
There you go.
Or shoes.
There you go. The tickets will be sold until 10 p.m. tonight, so you will have time to run out and grab them after our show is over. However, competition will be fierce, as tickets are also being sold in 45 other states now, guys. Remember, the District of Columbia and also the U.S. Virgin Islands, Kris. Did you know that? How about that? And now, everybody's favorite as well, because I think we do it better than anybody, to be honest with you, to include our local news channels. Mike, I know you're probably going to go, I don't know about that. Mitchell, here is our weather forecast with Mr. Michael Heater.
Hey, guys, it's a... Rinse, repeat. It's going to be hot, it's going to be humid, it's going to be cloudy, and the rain starts after 2 p.m. It's the summertime pattern that we have here. Let's take a look at the pollen numbers first so you can take a look at. Pollen's going to be on the increase for the next 5 days, as we are expecting these numbers to increase basically due to some grasses and some pine. However, we are expecting those numbers to drop off during the afternoon showers and thunderstorms as they make their way through. Let's take a look at the regional forecast. You can see hot, humid thunderstorms across the entire region. Pascagoula at 90 degrees. Charlotte, 93. It's going to extend all the way down towards Orlando at 95. Of course, right here in Stark, we're looking at about 94 to 93 degrees, depending on where you are, with a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms. That means that for the next 3 days, you're looking at nice conditions, but again, highs in the upper 90s, lows around 70. That is your latest forecast, Dave. Back at you.
Hey, that's a great weather report, and we will have that weather report again for you there toward the end of the show. Hey, here we go. We got trivia on Wednesday nights at Fun Point. Right here, 7 p.m., straight up and down. Your host, Mr. Michael Heater. Real quick, how's your crowd been?
Crowd is good for the best trivia night in Stark.
On Wednesdays?
Okay, on Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays.
I mean, you've been having...
We've been running about 7 or 8 teams fairly consistently.
Yeah.
We're doing pretty well here like that. The teams that are participating are having a really good time. We're introducing a couple of different categories, but there's some that they just really enjoy. Name That Tune has really taken off.
I knew that one has.
Yeah, that was it. They're doing real well with that one. Hey, it's a chance for you to come out and win a free appetizer, play some poker with us. We have a great time doing that one. And, of course, we're kind of like you. We have $25 for first place, $15 for second, $10 for third.
Absolutely.
And it's a chance to just have a lot of fun. If you are coming out to Wednesday night team trivia at Fun Point, I strongly suggest you do your homework, because I am very consistent, a creature of habit as it were, and I can tell you that if you want to do a little research and look up on this date.
Oh, yeah, that's another popular one.
Yep, probably want to take a look at that, because a lot of my questions come from this date in history.
Oh, and I know when that's coming up. And then on Thursday nights, over at the Downtown Grill at 7:30, I'll host trivia there as well. Been averaging about 6 to 8 teams, as Mike said. Summertime, people are still doing things. Hey, winding down the summer for the kids to go back to school. We'll talk about that here in a minute.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's at Downtown Grill at 7:30. And as Michael said, I'm a creature of habit as well, as many times as I can do it, for sure. If anybody knows me, Dave, Michael, y'all all been there. I love geography.
Yes,
geography is all kinds of it. Make sure you study geography. I'm a big sports guy. Michael is too. I like sports. And, of course, I'm using the true or false category now. There's some other categories and some different things I mix up. But the main one that you can get an easy, depending on how many questions I have, 5, 7, or 9 points. Here it is right here. Hey, Thursday night team trivia answer is what, Mike?
It is autonomous.
Wow, good grief. Did you come up with that word?
I had some help.
Did you? Good grief. Yeah, man. I'm going to have to come up with some great questions for that. But it's autonomous, and you can go back and catch that about 20 minutes after. If you need to watch the show again, 20 minutes after 7, you tune in to On the Spot with David Rodgers, and you'll be able to get that answer. Now,
and
Kaitlynn, Kris, this is everyone's favorite segment of the show. This brings back a little history, brought to you by our great media partners, WEAG Eagle Country 106.3 FM. Owners Chuck and Mary Kramer and Lynn Vellis.
Stop.
Okay.
Because I changed the script on you.
Oh, you did?
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
If you want to sing it, I'm okay with it. Because you know what it is?
What is it?
It's a very happy birthday.
Oh! And the Bradford County Telegraph celebrating his 143rd birthday today.
Wow.
John Miller, John Ron Tillman, Mark Crawford, and of course the birthday boy himself, Cliff Smelly, our writing partner to Tornado football games. Here's What's the Day. These are the headlines from the Bradford Telegraph during the last week of July. In what year? Deputy collapses at the courthouse. District boundaries changed this year. Bicyclists injured and critically injured in crash. And Donaldson named Hampton elementary principal. Was that July of 2011, July of 2016, or July of 2021? Mitchell's over there thinking. Deputy collapses at the courthouse. District boundaries changed this year. Bicyclist injured and critically injured in crash. And Donaldson named Hampton elementary principal. Y'all guys think about that. Was that the last week of July in 2011, 2016, or 2021? Because I'm going to ask you here in just a minute. Always, we give you a hand there and read some things off. Mike, I'll read the first one.
Okay.
You read the second one.
Okay.
I'll read the third one, and you read the fourth.
Sounds good to me.
A courthouse deputy working the metal detector collapsed and stopped breathing around 12:20 p.m. Michael Heater. Fantastic. Right here. With county emergency management immediately began CPR while Sergeant George Conkell, Dave, used an automatic defibrillator to restart his heart. The deputy went on to make a full recovery and returned to work thanks to those life-saving efforts.
Political boundaries for county commissioners and school board representatives would be redrawn prior to the next election cycle, according to Supervisor of Elections Terry Vaughn.
Ooh, whoa, okay, that's giving me a hint.
There you go.
Dennis Lockridge, 53, was struck by a Toyota car driven by Samantha Hodges as he rode his bicycle at the intersection of Market Road and State Road 16.
And finally, Brenda Donaldson was named Hampton Elementary School Principal following a special school board meeting. She previously served as the assistant principal of the elementary school.
All right. So we gave you some hints there, some things for you to talk about, some things for you to be able to guess. And now let me read these again, and I'll tell you what happens. Deputy collapses at the courthouse. District boundaries changed this year. Bicycles injured in critically injured crash. And Donaldson named Hampton elementary principal. Was that the last week of July of 2011? 2016 or 2021. This is how you play, ladies and gentlemen. All you guys that are on, hey, welcome into the show. You take a guess. If you get that guess right, hey, you'll have a chance to win a $25 gift card to the Downtown Grill. You say, how do I do that? All you got to do is take a guess. If you get the guess right as we bring it up to you, you get your name put in a drawing, and we will draw that name next week, right, Mike? The first week of August?
That's right. God, I cannot believe July is over already.
Almost, and you're exactly right. Now, let me ask something.
Yes.
How many do we have? There's not a lot of interest. We haven't had a show in 2 weeks, number one.
Yeah.
So that brings it down.
So depending on how many people get this correct, and
Right.
we got guesses from all over the board on looking at it here, but it will be a very, very good response for folks getting the chance to come in and take a look at that one. I can tell you that we've already got some guesses that are coming in. Randy Brooks is saying 2011. Okay. Byron Bagwell says 2016. Mom says 2011.
Hello, Miss Shirley. How you doing, by
go.
the way? You and Donnie, hope y'all are doing good.
Yep, Melanie Evans and Karen Henry both say 2016. Roy Jackson says 2016, and Lucy Davis says 2016.
All right, so we got a lot of 2016s. We got some 2011s. And again, you'll get a chance to win a $25 gift certificate to the Downtown Grill. All you got to do is just guess this. You'll get your name put into the drawing, and here we go. Mitchell, if you'll go back up to the top there and let me welcome some people in, and let's get...
there you go.
Oh, okay. Michael's got it right here.
Right
Here we go. Dwight Allen, good evening, sir. Susan Cunningham, Roy Jackson, Byron Bagwell. Of course, I didn't get a chance to get to Byron. Byron's usually our co-host here with us. He is working today. He had a lot of stops he had to do today. Byron, I wish you were here, but I'm glad you're able to tune in and check out what's going on. Hopefully everything looks good. The show is looking absolutely fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Mitchell Gunner, for stepping in and helping me and Mr. Holland, Mr. Heater out, and Mr. Bagwell. Byron did say the Duke a while ago.
Yes, he did.
The show's not choppy like it usually is. Looking excellent. Definitely is going to play nice with my dedicated editing machine. YouTube side has a dedicated editing computer now. That's coming from our very own Mr. Austin Stevens, which Michael's Heater gets his weather from. He owns Austin's Weather Service. So thank goodness that he's paying attention. Thank you for that. I'm glad the show's coming in. And also I want to thank Austin Stevens because he puts all our shows on YouTube.
That's right.
Well, I've got a little surprise for you. This show right now, Michael, is airing on YouTube Live.
Well, look at
because StreamYard does that, right, Mitchell? Not this one. Okay. All right, Mitchell said, no. David just stepped ahead of the game a little bit. Not this one.
Yeah.
But his show does, and we'll talk about that here in a minute.
We have to let Austin continue his
excellent efforts. That's right.
He's on a roll here, so we can't just jump ahead of everything. Come on.
That's right.
There you go.
Matt Peterson, looks like a square table. Lots of laughs. Okay. Yeah, 2011, like I said, Susan Cunningham, 2011, 2016. I know you're doing that. Lucy Davis is in with us. Shirley Bagwell, like you said. Melanie Evans, 2016. Miss Mosley, 2016. Roy, 2016. Lucy Davis, 2016. And Mandy Tucker says, here for Kris Elkins support. There you go. Sister-in-law, there you go. So we'll have that. And, of course, we'll be talking to him in just a minute. All right, I'm going to go around the table. Starting with you there, my lovely lady.
I'm going to say 2016.
You're going to go 2016. David?
Well, that Hampton principle.
Yeah, that gives you a little...
That kind of sticks in my head.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2011.
You're going to go 2011. All right. Mitchell?
I'm 2011 as well because I know the officer and I also know the principal. That was at Hampton and when all of that happened.
I'm going to say 2011 because I don't recognize any of it and I wasn't living here then.
That's good. Okay. No, that's pretty good. I like that reasoning. Michael? Oh, you can't have it.
I was going to say,
Man,
I was there.
Yeah, I know. You can't say.
Yeah.
But I do remember that, and I do remember about the principal. And let me tell you what, to me, the dead giveaway was on some of these dates. But you got a good guess. It's Terry Vaughn. You remember, now he's no longer the supervisor of elections here, but there's only a couple of dates or a date that could really interfere with that. Only one of them. So I will say that all of us at this table, I'm going to say 2011, all of us at the table are within the realm of the time frame. And do we have any more guesses? Anybody else up there?
Angela says 2011.
Okay.
And that's all we have.
That's all you have. Okay. Well, Michael, man, I tell you, this was a pretty good one.
Yeah, well, I figured.
Yeah, and I know you were involved in several of these.
Yeah.
Definitely the first one.
Definitely the first one.
Because your name was there. So, if there ain't no more guesses, give me a drum roll.
All right,
here we go. Drum roll. And the answer is, wait for it. That answer is 2011.
It was, yep. And the kicker there was Sergeant Conkell.
Yeah, Conkell.
Who promoted from sergeant to lieutenant to captain, and he's now a major.
Major.
Yeah.
You get to be put into the drawing for a $25 gift card to the Downtown Grill.
Yeah,
how about that, huh?
Mitchell? We got the names.
Sorry.
I was so confident that I actually had it written down in the computer to flash it up on the screen.
There you go.
I got you. All right. Hey, what a great guess. And I tell you, it's always a fun topic. And we'll draw a winner next week.
Yes, we will.
So we have several of them now, so it should be pretty good, even though we missed 2 weeks. So, again, thank you all for joining us tonight. We'll be right back after this commercial break. All right, welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting our guest right here. We're just trying to fix the chair right here. Our very first guest tonight is Mr. Kris Elkins. I've known Kris for a while. Ever since he's been living here, we've done several things together. Michael knows him as well. He's been on our show before. He's got a new church out there in Lottie, where I live, right around the corner from me. It's called Logo Church of Lottie, Florida. And he's doing some great things out there. Kris, welcome in, as always.
Appreciate it, Brother.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Tell us what's going on, Mike. Chris, excuse me. I'm thinking about Mike right here. Because
I can tell you, but all I'd say is Chris.
Yeah, just Chris. Yeah, Chris, tell us what's going
I've
on.
been called much worse.
So, ever since you started, tell everybody how this came into existence. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and tell everybody what you got upcoming as far as what's happening here in the next week or so.
Yes, sir. About 8.5 years ago, the Lord led us into Lottie, and I served at a local church, and I loved it there. I knew the Lord told me to go and do something else, and we weren't sure what it was, and went with no job, no pay, no nothing. And the Lord said, "You're going to start a church." And I said, "All right, and we'll do it." And the Lord gave us the name Logo, which stands for Love and Go. And the love is from Matthew 22:37 through 40, when Jesus asked what was the most important thing. He said, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul. And he said, the second is like unto it, to love others. So that's where the LO comes from. And the go comes from Matthew 28:18 through 20. It says, to go ye therefore and make disciples, to go tell. And so that's our job, is to love and go tell others about the Lord, and love and go serve. And so the name kind of came from that, and it kind of stuck. And it's interesting how many people go, Logo. I heard someone call it Loco churches. No, not Loco. It's similar, but not quite. We might think we are, but no, Lottie. God, it's funny how when you spend some time in a place, how God just pricks your heart, and you start changing your heart about even deeper how you fall in love with the people. And I started doing a lot of investigating, and I realized that we were one of the poorest counties in Florida. We have some of the biggest struggles, and Lottie is probably either the second or the third poorest city in Florida. And you realize there's a lot of needs from that, and then also being surrounded by all the prisons, with all the prison workers, which is just a difficult place to work. And so there's a lot of needs. And so the Lord has led us. I'll be honest with you, our motto is, or our goal is to meet the spiritual needs and to meet the physical needs of our city through the compassion of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. And so our job is to love on people. And you know what? God's brought us people that won't go to church anywhere else. We just want to love on people, and we want to share Jesus with them, and we want to reach out to our community. And so we've done several things. Like in the past, we've done the peanut butter and jelly giveaways.
Right.
That was a lot of fun. Let me tell you what. That's just really neat. Just hand stuff out. We've done a back to school bash, and where we had it at our church last year. We did a big Easter. We were trying to have a helicopter drop in Easter eggs, but the helicopter broke down. So good thing he didn't try to fly it.
No, that would not have been good. No.
So instead, we just had them drop from cranes, and that was awesome. And I really appreciated the people doing that. And well, we just like to reach out to our community. And one of the things we're doing is we're doing another giveaway. And I got permission, praise the Lord, to be able to do this inside of the elementary school in Lottie.
Wow, okay.
And so we're going to give away school supplies to any kid that shows up there and wants to get them, including the water bottles, because they're not allowed to do the fountain drinks anymore.
Right.
So you can get your clear water bottles. And so we're going to give away, if they need a backpack, we'll give them a backpack, crayons, pencils, notebooks, that kind of stuff, composition books. Even colored pencils, just to kind of help meet needs, and because we know how hard it is. And also we're giving away snow cones. Why? Because it's going to be hot, and everybody wants snow cones. I love snow cones. I don't know what happened, but I love them.
And what time is this? And what date and what time? And we know it's going to happen at Lottie Elementary School or Lottie School.
It's August 5th during their open house, and so I'm not so sure who all can come onto the campus, but I know it's from 4 to 5:30 at Lottie Elementary. And but if people need something and they can't go on campus, they can contact me. I'm on Facebook, and I think they're going to show my information a little later on.
You can go ahead and say it as well. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's logochurch.org is our website, or you can call me, and that's my cell phone, or text me. Please, it's on the screen there. So you can definitely let me know if you have a need for school supplies, and you don't go to Lottie Elementary. We'll do whatever we can do to help you out. We've given away several things already, and if you have more school supplies and want to give them to us to be able to give out, the main thing we need right now are composition books, crayons, pencils and notebooks.
So if somebody wanted to donate these items, again, can call you
Yes.
and drop them off? Is there a drop-off point at your church?
Unfortunately, no drop-off point. But if you let me know, I can make sure we can have some kind of place that we can do that with.
And right now, I know me and you talked.
We just keep our fence locked because people want to
absolutely
people drop trailers in
there. Yeah, I noticed a lot of the truckers. Yeah, will do that. Again, I know that you were talking about. How many kids right now do you have a focus on to try to help out right now, or how many can you help out right now?
Well, there's 243 or 245 or so kids right now at Lottie Elementary from preschool to 5th grade. The preschool probably doesn't need the school supplies as much as the K through 5, so I'm not sure the exact amount of that. Right now, I believe we probably have enough to do 150 to 180.
Nice.
And but we want to be able to reach out even further in case anybody. And we can get that stuff if we need it, and we will get as we need it. But if you would like to donate, we wouldn't mind you donating. So that would be okay. We're not proud to do that, and some people just like to do that. But we really want to just love on the community. We want to share Jesus with people. And a long time ago, I heard this said, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And so many times we just want to, at church, we just want to say, come church, rather than loving on them and them coming to church afterwards because we showed an interest in them. And sure.
Dave, I know you got some comments. Will you read off some of the comments there, or if you want me to, or whatever, just some of the guys, yeah. I just want to make sure that I've got everybody here. Angela says, okay, here we go. Swede, I was the first answer on the 2011. Yes, you were, Matt. Shirley said, Shirley, you're in. I knew you knew that one. Dwight Allen says, look, 1 inch and 3/4 of an inch of rain so far.
Yeah.
Good grief.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was looking at some of the numbers that like that one, and you'll probably see more of this happening, but it's going to be hit and miss over the next 3 to 4 days. So just because you got rain tonight doesn't mean you'll get it tomorrow, and conversely, areas that are dry now, you might get some later on. So don't think it's going to be a complete washout.
She says Angie says she wants a huge company billboard. Dave, what is she saying there on his property? Is that
huge campaign?
Huge
campaign. Okay.
Billboard.
Billboard.
Okay. Anytime.
Yeah. I like that Michael Beater, but it's heater.
It's close enough.
It's close enough.
That's it. She gets it.
Almost no rain where Shirley lives, which is pretty interesting. Will Smith says hello, brother Kris.
Hey, brother Will, what's going on?
Yeah, Will always come to our show. I coach for brother Kris. He loves people and these kids. He's got a servant's heart. Absolutely, he does.
Praise the Lord.
Boss lady, I know her, which is Trish Mason. She says we can donate all supplies too.
There you go.
So she is the manager of the Aaron's Rena Center that used to be here, but she's over in St. Augustine now, and she's still wanting to help out our community. So we will definitely do that.
That if you wanted to do a school drive,
I'm not sure what you're saying, Mitch. I'm sorry. Oh, you're over to the side here?
No, read up underneath.
It's not couch. I kind of
okay. Yeah. I was like, Mitchell, I'm having a hard time seeing this. Yeah. So, but anyway, I'm sure he'll take any supplies that he can get. Yeah, no, it's not couch. Absolutely, we got that for sure. So, anyway, yeah, you'll take any items that can be donated. They can call you. Give one more time. Give your address out and your phone number.
Our address. Well, what is our address?
Not the address. Excuse me. Your email.
I've got some. I have our address here. I'm sorry. I have so many addresses that I have to memorize. I thought I knew it. 24078 US Highway 301. We are in the old tire shop outside of Lottie.
Yeah.
Right by where the hotel burned down. Praise God, it didn't get anywhere near us.
Yes.
But we're right there in that old tire shop, and you ought to come by. It's beautiful now. It really, really is. And you can contact us on our webpage at www.logochurch.org. My cell phone number is 904-424-4085. If I don't answer you right away, please don't take anything about. I actually work 3 different jobs. And
yes,
so
you
just
do.
leave a
I was
message,
gonna say.
and I will call you back. I promise you I will when I have a break. But it's a lot going on. That's okay. So please let us know. Or you can also, if you go to Logo Church, logochurch@yahoo.com is our email address. And we just want to love on people. And one of the things we're fixing to do really soon, I forgot to mention, is we just recently had a building piece that pretty much got paid for by just little donations coming in, that we're going to start once a month doing what we call family outreach. And we're going to do a dinner for anybody who wants to come just to love on them.
Wow.
And so we're hoping that that's going to get kicked off when it gets a little cooler, because nobody wants to sit outside when it's 90-something degrees.
And I will tell you right now, church food, Dave, Kaitlynn, Mitchell, Michael, is some of the best food you'd ever have. Those ladies in those churches, they know how to fix some food.
Yes,
I am telling you what, some of the best fried chicken I ever had was at a church dinner. I am telling you right now. So they know how to do it.
Oh, yes, sir.
And desserts and everything else, but they definitely know how to do it. So, Kris, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you so much for coming on.
And if nothing else, please pray for us as we just love on people. And it's amazing who God's bringing us. We're not a big church, and we're not trying to be a big church.
Right.
We just want to be who we are and do what the Lord tells us to do. And I'm okay with that. I just am.
Well, we appreciate, all of us here appreciate what we're doing right here, what you're doing right here. Oh, here we go. Donna Green and her daughter are team teachings this year at Stark Elementary. They are doing a fundraiser to get books for their students. $10 will let a student receive a book once a month for the school year. If you are willing to help out, I will let you know how to contribute. Thank you. Great idea, Shirley. I know we've talked about this before, so thank you very much. So that's why all of us pastors are fat. Well, how about just the people that attend too? I'm fat as well.
Yeah,
so well. But anyway, stick with us just a second, Kris. Thank you again for coming on. Doing a great job over there at Logo Church in Lottie. We'll be right back with our next guest right after this commercial break. Welcome back to On the Spot with David Rodgers. I am your host, David Rodgers, right alongside Mr. Michael Heater and Mr. Dave Holland back there helping Mr. Mitchell Gunner produce the show right here. Mr. Mitchell Gunner is producing the show along with Dave Holland, filling in double duty. We'll talk about Mitchell and his show here in just a little bit. You just heard from Kris Elkins. They're doing a lot of good things over at the Logo Church. Yes. I remember, just real quick, Kris talking to me about this a year and a half ago, and this was just in the works, and he was trying to get some things done and some things, rolling, and then all of a sudden the community just stepped up and said, hey, man, we're going to help these guys out. And now all of a sudden, he's been able to, in turn, him and his congregation been able to turn and give back to the community. So what a great, great deal. And I'm sure he's got some upcoming things as well.
Absolutely.
But right now, as you see, look at who we have here. Got a crown on and everything. I've got Miss USA Agriculture.
Anything to make the show look good, huh?
Absolutely, buddy. You don't think I'm dumb, do you?
Well, hey,
I may look it, but
not arguing that point.
2022.
Yes, I am the 2022 National Miss United States Agriculture. My name is Kaitlynn Van Heusen, and I reside in Brooker, Florida.
Brooker, Florida. How about that? Somebody told me not a lot of good things come out of Brooker, but I disagree. How about that? Look at here. There you go. And Kaitlynn. So, Kaitlynn, welcome into the show. Tell everybody a little bit about stuff. I know you said you're from Brooker. How you got to this point right here.
So I was approached at National FFA Convention. I'm actually an ag teacher in Bradford County. I teach at North Florida Technical College. I have 8th through 12th grade agriculture students. Going into my 8th grade teaching agriculture as an FFA advisor. So kind of one of my passions, I'm a product of agriculture education, and so I'm one of those people that just never left the classroom. And I became an ag teacher. I served as state officer for Florida FFA. But I was approached at National Convention and I was told, hey, you should do this. You advocate for agriculture every day in your classroom. This will allow you to do it in a more noticeable way. And so I ended up with the North Florida title to start with. Back a few months back, I received my Crown Sash in December. I started with my platform. My platform is to bring awareness to the loss of agriculture land due to urbanization, which is hurting our production and our profits, as we're seeing more and more land across Florida and the United States become developed, and the issues that come along with that.
Right.
Florida's in the top 11 states, as the American Farmland Trust says. It's one of the most threatened states for development and such. And so that became my platform, and since then I've visited farms, I've done festivals, I've done farm tours, I've helped out at fairs, you name it. I've been here, there, and everywhere as my schedule allows. And so at the end of June, I went down to Orlando. We competed for the national titles. And so you have a public speaking part, which is your onstage introduction, where you tell about your platform and yourself. You have an onstage question, which is usually something either personality-based or agriculture-based. You have an actual interview that's ag-based. And then you have funwear, which represents agriculture in your state. And then you actually have your formal wear, which is your gowns and such. Thank God, no talent. I would probably have fallen off the stage. But
what is your talent, by the way? What would you have done? Sing?
No, I would have probably disassembled something mechanical and built something back.
Okay.
By the end of it.
Okay.
I cannot sing for anything.
Okay.
My poor 6th grade music teacher said she's a sweetheart, but Lord, she can't sing. So singing is not my talent.
Okay.
Mechanics, I'd rather do something mechanical.
Gotcha.
They probably would not appreciate that. Well, they wouldn't let me bring a cow or chicken on stage, so I mean.
Okay.
But my state funwear, of course, being from Bradford County, we're known for strawberries.
Yes.
So I went more of a 50s style with strawberries, and had strawberry basket and everything in Florida-grown strawberries. And so that was my state funwear, was bring the strawberries back, because we are Bradford County. That's what we do.
There you go.
Like I said, they wouldn't let me bring a cow. So, but the onstage introduction and all, and the interview was based on agriculture. And that's my passion. I teach agriculture day in and day out. I've grown up showing chickens since the time I was 4 years old. I've shown cattle. I've shown horses. If I could drag it into a show ring, I probably did. And so I grew up in Fort White, and so not far down the road. But I moved to Bradford County and started teaching agriculture. So I love it. And our goal is the Miss United States Agriculture is to advocate for agriculture. We are a program. We are a pageant with a purpose. We give away scholarship money. We're hoping for up to $15,000 this coming year in scholarships. And so when we advocate, we do it in our crown and sash. Somebody told me one time, they said, you'd be surprised at what doors a crown and sash will open for you to advocate.
Absolutely.
And I never believed it, but it is the truth. And so we were represented nationals by 27 different states, but we have girls that represent us in the crown and sash all across the United States, and it is the most interesting thing because it is all ages of ladies. We see all ages from 0 up into the 70s to compete. And so as long as you have a purpose that is advocating for agriculture, you can do anything in a crown and sash.
Kaitlynn Van Heusen, 2022 National Miss United States Agriculture. Mike, do you have a question for
I do, and I'm very impressed with everything that you said so far on that, Kaitlynn. What I'm most intrigued about, though, is your platform. Now, again, to reinforce that, your platform is the preservation of agriculture.
Yes.
And Bradford County is kind of at a precipice now because there's so much development that's coming out of Clay County. St. Johns County is becoming one of the fastest growing counties in Florida. Clay on its heels. Blanding Boulevard is becoming a 6-lane road. So a lot of people that moved away from Jacksonville into the bedroom communities of Clay County and Middleburg, Keystone, McRae, and those areas they're now looking at urbanization.
Yes.
So they're going to start moving into areas like Bradford County, Union County, that sort of thing like that. So I'm intrigued by that because what I'm involved with currently is the balance between maintaining our agricultural environment and identity versus having to deal with the urbanization of a community and developments and that sort of thing like that one. So I myself am very impressed with your platform because you bring to light something that I don't think a lot of people would do. And that balance between development with block grants and urbanization working hand in hand with your efforts, really, I think that is what really solidifies the essence of what we're trying to do in Bradford County.
That's good, because we see more and more urbanization and valuable farmland that has access to good soil, that has proper drainage, is few and far between. You can graze cattle on grass, but you still have to have good soil to graze cattle,
Sure.
especially to grow grass. Otherwise, you're going to spend more feeding them. People look at rural counties and they see property that has low taxes. Well, there's lower taxes on agricultural property, of course.
Sure.
Florida was one of the first states in '59 to actually have land grants and land tax eases for agricultural lands. That started in Florida. And so people look at Bradford County, we look at these surrounding counties, people from Alachua County look at, oh, it's not far to drive to UF, to drive somewhere, but the property's a lot cheaper. But they are taking it and they move it from agriculture areas in Bradford County we know is wet. We have good soil. There's a lot of farms. And so when we lose that, we have to worry about feeding 9 billion people on the planet by 2050.
That's
okay?
true.
We are looking at losing, I was looking at an article the other day that came out that said Florida could lose 5 million acres of farmland by 2070. We don't have that much land that we can use and lose in Florida farms. If you look at Florida's economy, tourism and agriculture.
Right.
And when COVID hit and tourism closed, agriculture was supporting the state. And so counties like Bradford County, even your more urban counties, Palm Beach County, you get along Lake Okeechobee. So I was born in Palm Beach County, and I watched the orange groves because we lived in the back of the orange groves. The orange groves we drove through every day to get out to work and all, and sugar cane behind us. Those groves sold. That land was cheap.
Right.
The packing house closed. That became houses and school systems, and then there became water rights struggles. Okay, and Bradford County farms, we're going to struggle for water rights. Who gets to use the most water first? Right. New people come in. They don't like the sound of tractor kicking on at 6 a.m., but I have to get that hay in.
Right.
There's no wind that moment. I might have to spray. They don't like the noises and all. They don't understand this because most people are 2 to 3 generations removed from their farms. And so they don't understand our way of life.
So one of the questions that I have is a lot of the acreage in Bradford County is owned by timber companies.
Yes.
Now there has been discussion in the past about a cooperative effort between timber companies and trying to work with farmland. Clearly, you can't have farmland and timber coexisting because it's impossible to farm it. However, what do you see is a future benefit of partnerships between companies like Rayonier, areas where timber is still going to be a hot commodity, so to speak, that there's a chance that they could work with counties and other entities to provide farmland, even though their money is in timber, not in the farming.
So, of course, if you look at timber in Florida, if you leave the roots and the stumps in timber in Florida that have been harvested sitting in the ground too long, you start building up funguses, you start building up diseases in those roots, you start building up insect loads in those roots. And so one of the things that they could do, once they log an area, if they root rake it, because it will destroy farm equipment to come in there, if they leave that land sit a few years and possibly lease it to grow something like soybeans or a legume that will put nitrogen back into the soil, you break that cycle of the diseases and your funguses and such and your beetles that will get down in those cut tree stumps. It gives that land time to rest before you put new timber back in it. You're also starting to move some of those nutrients back down. I think you'll probably see a little bit healthier tree too if you put in something that puts nitrogen back into the soil and that land's managed properly. But it'll break that life cycle. I think you'll see better quality timber, especially if you break that life cycle of the diseases and stuff that are left over from those roots. They have to root rake them first. I think if they did a lease for a couple of years to farmers to be able to come in and farm, and before they replant, I think you'll see some improvement there. I think you'll see some improvement in how that land is managed because for the first couple of years, especially with slash pine, you can't burn. You have a weed load in there, you have sapling load in there, but tilling and such for farming will actually break that up. Now, of course, longleaf pine stays in the grass stage for about 7 years. Those long needles allow for a managed fire to come through and clean out that weed load.
Correct.
longleaf pines, that's Florida used to burn. It used to flood and burn all the time. Okay, and so longleaf pines adapted to fire. Slash pine and loblolly are not. They're not near as adapted, so they have to get some size on before you can burn. But tilling and then farming that area will take some of those weeds out of there, take some of those saplings out of there. It'll disturb some of those seeds that are starting to emerge. Some of your wax metal and things like that, while they're good for wildlife and they're good natives, breaking that life cycle of them some, and these other trees that we wouldn't want to harvest so much as you would your pines, I think farming and leasing that'll help that.
That's a great answer.
Great answer. I want to go a little national with you, okay? Since you are Miss USA and you're representing the whole country, if you watched our show, and what you have, one thing I'm very passionate about, and these gentlemen are very passionate about, is our farmers.
Yes.
I put our farmers up number one. I think at times that they get hosed on a lot of things that they do. I think that the government strangleholds them on what they can farm, on what they can distribute. So I always talk about our farmers. I want to get your opinion. Well, first and foremost, I don't know if you know this, but we supposedly, in big silos around the United States and even around the world, that there's supposed to be enough food to feed every woman, man, and child for the next 30 years. Have you heard this?
I've not heard that, but if you're looking at dent corn, which a lot of the silos are in dry corn, dent corn is typically used for ethanol in your fuel sources.
Right.
And so here comes that battle of, okay, what do we use this corn for? Now there's other alternatives. Sorghum, Brazil uses sorghum.
Right.
They use a lot of ethanol-based fuels. But they use sugarcane. They don't rely on corn. They are one of the biggest sugarcane producers because they can harvest the sugar, and then you have extra leftover products that you can use for ethanol and biofuels. So if we're going to talk about how much food is really sitting there, sweet corn we eat. Dent corn we use for our ground corn or things like that. We use for corn, high fructose corn syrup. We harvest for it, but it's also our main source of livestock feed.
Right. How about rice? Okay, like rice. I know that there's supposed to be
there's
silos
a ton of rice.
Tons of rice. Of course, that's the number one crop in the world, according to what I've read. But anyway, going back to the United States farmers here, and we can take it with beef, we can take it with anything, but mainly people that are out there planting your vegetables, like you were saying, your corn, your tomatoes, your those type of vegetables there. I believe, and I want to get your opinion on this, and I want to see what you're going to do maybe to help fight this, is, these farmers, they're growing and growing and growing, but they can only sell so much of that because the government has put a stranglehold on them and said, hey, this is what I'm going to allow you to sell. And they throw away a lot of stuff because it rottens or something happens. What do you think about that as far as that goes? Because I think our farmers, like I said, when they need a loan, they have to jump through hoops to get a loan from a bank or from the government. So I tell you, it just disturbs me that our own government won't help out these farmers. And to me, they're the number one people in this country, because without those guys and people like you, we're not eating.
No,
I can assure you of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So, go ahead.
So, when we look at, there's a program called Feds Feed Families, and it's gleaning. And so what gleaning is they allow people to go out in the fields, they allow organizations to go out into the fields and harvest what is left over. If you go and look at food from other countries, the food is not perfect. The American consumer wants to buy non-blemished food. If you go to the grocery store, and we've all done it, you look at a thing of tomatoes or bell peppers sitting there, the first thing you do is you pick it up, flip it over, make sure it looks normal and looks right. That's the first thing we do.
I've done that. I'm guilty.
That's the first thing we do, and I watch people do it all the time. Okay? Because the American consumer we're not used to seeing anything that isn't our ideal standard of perfect. Okay?
Makes sense.
But if you grow a tomato or pepper in your backyard, it's not going to be the ideal perfect.
No.
And so we have set standards in the U.S. of what these food items are supposed to look like. If it doesn't meet it, it goes somewhere else. It either goes into a product, like a salsa or something, it goes somewhere else, it might get donated to a food bank. But the Feds Feed Families program goes in and allows people to go in and glean food that's left over that might not be perfect or ripened after the date that we had pickers come in. And so, as you know, a lot of food in our United States still hand-picked.
Yes.
Especially in Florida.
Yes.
Okay, tomatoes, things like that. They're still hand-picked. We don't have machinery for that. So I might have labor for this short time. Okay, especially if they're on an H-2A visa or something else, I might have them for this, or they might come in after the crop is already rotted in the field because of paperwork and holdups. Okay, and so we waste a lot of food. And so I feel like across the nation, if we did a better job of educating the public that yes, this tomato is still perfectly safe to eat, it might have some sunburn on it. That happens. Okay, it was too close to top of the plants. If we create programs that allow us to distribute food that might be a little less than perfect to food pantries, things like that, I think we'll see the food waste go down. I think we'll see more people eat more. And I think it starts with education, too. Being in the school system, I've seen students look at food and just throw it away. Okay? A lot of it fresh produce. There are schools around the country, depending on what standards are allowed, that they have a table that's perfectly good food that the kids didn't want. It might be fruit cups, it might be apples, it might be things like that. And the kids that are still hungry can go by there and grab one, okay, in addition.
I love that.
And so it keeps that food waste down.
Right.
But I think it starts with the idea of the consumer. There's different companies that sell misfit food products. There's different companies, but going back in and harvesting what's left over, allowing the community to come in and harvest. And so a lot of areas, a lot of farms across the United States, when COVID hit, and they couldn't harvest or they couldn't get it there.
And that's where I was going with that. I'm
They
glad you
started,
mentioned that.
I know some farms have gone straight U-pick now.
Right.
And they
Right.
allow people to come in and pick as much as they want for so many dollars a pound or however they want to do it. And I've actually talked to several farmers and they said they've had better results.
With that?
Yes, with U-pick they've made more money. It gets harvested as the things come ripe, so they have a longer window to harvest. And there's less that gets left over because it's not a few times that it gets picked all the way through.
Right.
And so COVID's created some challenges. It's created a lot of shipment challenges.
Right.
Fresh food has a certain so many days to get to market.
Exactly. That was.
And if it doesn't make it to market, then it has to go.
Right.
Okay.
Which leads me to another point. But first,
Uh-huh.
we have to pause for just a moment.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
1, 2,
2, 3. Hello, Alvy.
There we go.
Mitchell's got a question. I know he.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead, Mitchell.
We have a lot of land here in Bradford County
Yeah.
that is just sitting there that's owned by people that's not being used. Is there certain ways that we can go after state or federal grants that will allow us to pay those property owners to allow people like ag or other companies to come in and use that land temporarily
Good
to
question.
plant certain things there that will help out? You know,
Yes.
like a lease.
Yes, the USDA does actually have beginning farmer grants. They actually have leases for purchasing equipment, for doing different things. They have different grants. They have different loans through the USDA that not many people are aware of. Farm Bureau, our state and American Farm Bureau, can actually help you find different grants and all. But it starts with finding that person to contact because some of those people don't use that land for anything, but they might have a hunting lease on it.
Right.
And so it's contacting those people. Some of those people are scared of lawsuits and things that might come along with it. And so it has to deal with figuring out the correct laws that protect them from possible lawsuits of someone getting hurt on a tractor or something during that lease, as well as protecting the producer that's leasing that land. But yes, there are grants and loans available through Farm Credit, through USDA, and so on.
Yeah, because you know you run around a lot of
Yes.
the rural area
Yes.
of Bradford County, and you see people that owns property, and it's just sitting there
Yes.
dormant. You know, it's
Yes.
you know, just
Right.
wanted to see if there was a way that they can
There
actually
is.
someone could come up there and say, hey, we would like to lease this for a
Yes.
year. We want to grow silver queen corn, or we want to plant it in beans and so
Yes.
forth.
Which in a way actually would then benefit because
Yes.
then it tills in the soil.
Soil.
It helps
Right.
rejuvenate
It
the
helps.
soil. Yeah.
And sometimes you do have to let land sit, especially with cover crops. Being a wet county and having a lot of water sitting in our soil, you do have to be careful of destroying that topsoil layer. Sometimes you don't even till; you go no-till, and so you knock everything down. and then you plant back into that residue, the plant residue that's there, and you let that protect the topsoil. And so no-till farming is a sustainable form of agriculture that's becoming very popular. No longer just turning over the dirt to turn it over, but actually figuring out the best method to grow crops with doing the least impact on the environment. And so no-till has become very, very popular, especially where we have soils that have a lot of wind erosion, water erosion, and such as that. It also depends on what you're trying to grow there. Some things just don't like wet soils.
Right.
I get
And
that.
so you have to plan your time of year. Then you have to find a market. Okay, where are you going to market it? If you take this soil, this land here, and you market it, and you get this crop out of there, where are we going to market it? What's the closest packing house that will take that crop? And so that becomes a challenge that you have to think through. A lot of times I feel like people approach somebody, hey, I want to lease this land, but they don't have the who, what, where, when, why, and how figured out. They don't have a full plan. It's just like going to the bank and asking for a loan. You have to know how you're going to repay that loan. You have to know where your market is. You have to plan out who am I going to order seeds from. Can this take 1.5 inches, 2 inches of water in a weekend? Can this take an extended period of dryness? Can this take a real tough storm or wind coming through here, a tornado, a hurricane, something like that? Can it take this? Is this area, and you can pull soil maps from online even, or you can go down to Extension Agent. They usually have land surveys. They're a little bit older, but you can pull them online and look at that soil type, what's going to be there, what it can actually do. There's land capability classes that say if you can put a house there, if it's going to be suitable, what your conditions going to be, if it's wet, if it's stony, and so on. So you can come in. I think that's the better way that people, if you're going to work on something to approach somebody to lease land, have that who, what, where, when, how, and everything figured out, what you're going to need. Because they might not want somebody running a tractor before 8 a.m. because they might not get out of bed. But you know as well as I do that might be a morning thing. And so, coming in and showing that this won't interfere with them and their lives, but as well as, what's their profit going to be?
Right.
What's the lease going to look like? What happens if you actually don't manage to grow anything? What's the fallback from that? Because that just happens sometimes. You might have a wet year and it might kill everything. And so that's just, you have to come in with all that answered first, especially if you're going to go try to get one of those loans through USDA and anything like that. You're going to have all that thought out anyway already. So.
Right. Miss Kaitlynn Van Heusen, 2022 National Miss United States Agriculture. Not only, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, is she pretty, very smart as well. If you've heard what she just talked about, I am telling you what, she has broke this down for you guys as best as I know that you know how to do it. And again, we appreciate you being on the show and talking with us about agriculture, because, like I said, one of our passions is farmers, and anybody that deals in farming and things like that. So I'm glad that you've come on. I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Very smart, very intelligent. I can see you've done your homework on a lot of things. Have you thought about running for the Department of Agriculture job here in the state of Florida? I see you smiling over there.
Maybe one day down the road, but right now I'm happy in the classroom because our future consumers are coming out of our classrooms. These, especially my high schoolers, are turning 16, 18. That's where most people make the decisions about their food, about what they want to eat, what they're going to purchase. And that's where we have to start educating, I think, the most, is those future consumers. Because once they leave the house, they're on their own. And so teaching them to buy American-grown produce, where we know what it was grown with, because we have really strict regulations on our produce and what we can use. Sure. And that also supports the farmer. Because when we allow to purchase outside things, out-of-country items, and it becomes an issue because some countries dump produce on us, which lowers the cost of produce. Looks great for everybody in the grocery store, but it's foreign produce. Sometimes we get invasive species, we get invasive pests. That's how citrus greening started. And it's also hurting the American farmer because we tend to have more money in what we're sending to market than what came in from another country. It's not the freshest, it's not the best quality. You might not know what it has on or what it has been grown in, and you might not know what it might have in with it. And so you have to be aware of these things, and I think it starts with educating that middle school and high school student about making healthy food choices, and making sure that they know where the food's coming from, how it's grown, and selecting that American-grown product any kind of day.
Mike, any comments? I know there's some comments.
Just a couple of comments here. Judith Young says, good evening, like that. Patrick Henry, apparently a big fan, says, you're doing a great job. Keep up the good work. And then, of course, Tammy's on watching, as well as Dwight has called it tonight, and Judith Young has joined us. So,
nice, very good. So, again, we got Kaitlynn Van Heusen, 2022 National Miss United States Agriculture. Before we let her go, Dave, do you have a question for her? I'm going to tell you what. This was, my head is going, wah, 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 wah.
And you can take those urban areas. I went to Tennessee back in December and went downtown. Okay, I love their farmers market. It's unique. But they have a storage container, a Connex container with the metal ones. And they're doing this in other countries. They've completely converted with LED lighting, and they have hydroponic grown, vertical grown lettuce.
I've heard about this.
They have different herbs, they have different vegetables grown like that. Put a few of those in an urban lot that's maybe concreted over. Somebody told me the last thing you can plant on a piece of property is a house. Okay? And that stuck with me, because it is. A lot of times, once we turn something into an urban piece of property or we turn it residential, does it go back to farming? Very few and far between. Okay, somebody told me that one time, and it's the truth. But if you see these concrete lots sitting in town where a house might have sat, there's probably already water and power there. Okay, you'd be surprised if the city would allow it for someone to bring in something like that to grow food products, and that takes that urban agriculture and turns an urban setting into where it can actually produce food. Overseas, they're working. There's a company called Pollen, and they actually harvest electricity from growing plants on the roof of buildings. Not only does it insulate the building, but they're harvesting electrons from it and powering the building. There's so much that we can do, not just in the agriculture in the rural areas, but bringing back agriculture into that urban area and producing that urban food still.
Dave?
Well, you kind of touched base on a little something that was on my mind. You've covered most of the world.
She did.
And there's a lot of people that don't have a 50, 100 acres, you know. They just have a backyard. Do you have anything to add to the small garden in the yard?
A lot of people forget about what you can do with a small greenhouse, a small hoop house. You have to check your zoning laws and everything. But you'd be surprised at what you can do with a small greenhouse producing small crops like microgreens, things like that. I've read tons of articles about people producing huge amounts of microgreens and fresh food on a quarter of an acre. Okay?
Well, I've noticed I've had some stuff growing on my front porch.
Yes.
And I produce more than I can eat, and I end up giving a lot of it away. Yeah. So it doesn't need a lot of space,
you don't need a lot of space
to produce a lot of food.
No. And with today's technology about hydroponics, things like that allow for recycling water, you can do it with a lot less space, a lot less water, and saving a lot of that, what we typically thought is lost water. You can save that fertilizer, reducing it. So as long as you're not losing that fertilizer and that water, that reduces your cost. You don't need a lot of space. There's all kinds of grow boxes. There's all kinds of great plants and stuff. IFAS and the University of Florida, or any of the different extension agents, are your greatest resources. There's a book that came out a long time ago called Square Foot Gardening, and I love that.
Square foot.
I use that all the time. It's one of the things that I teach my students with. But, I mean, you'd be surprised at what you can produce green bean-wise with 2 vertical hydroponics towers.
I bought a book about the old folks gardening, which basically is what it's all about.
Yeah.
That's the basics, and I'm really getting interested into the hydroponic side.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The herbs and the spices, and a lot of healing properties with those things right there.
And then I've worked a good bit with hydroponics. There's a lot of different systems, so it depends on what you're looking for. There's NFT systems, which are tray systems that can fit your garage, and you can produce 300 plants in it. You'd be surprised at what you can do in small spaces. I mean, we have backyard chickens and all. Let me tell you, we're inundated in eggs. Those girls have been busy this summer. We're inundated in eggs, but it's what happens. And so you'd be surprised if Florida a couple years ago passed regulations where cities couldn't say that your yard had to be all grass. You were allowed to grow vegetables in your yard, because some counties were trying to prevent people from growing anything but grass in their front yards or in their side yards. And so Florida passed some regulations on that. And so there are a lot of animals, rabbits, chickens, things like that, they grow out pretty quickly. Now, it does take some work in a small setting to keep them clean, keep the flies down, keep the smells down. It's just part of it. Sure. But they turn to meat pretty fast. There's a lot of produce and things that turn and reproduce pretty fast. And so Florida you can grow something all year. We have the best climate. We have the most growing zones. We actually have a zone that runs right through Bradford County. We're on the 8B, 9A line. It runs right through the middle of Bradford County. And so that gives you different growing zones. And so you can grow your leafy vegetables in the fall and winter. And then you come back in the spring. As towards it gets a little hot in summer, you're finalizing your tomatoes. You're finalizing some of your things. You're getting ready for that fall crop. The squashes, things like that are still coming in. You can grow something all year, and it does not take a ton of space. I've actually grown stuff recycling old coolers that people throw out. Because the lid broke off, something like that. You can grow a pretty large tomato plant in a styrofoam.
Do you have a website so people can contact you and ask you questions about their growing?
I don't know it all because it changes.
Know a lot of it. You know a lot of it.
But I don't know it all. So I'm on Facebook. You can search my name on Facebook. It's Kaitlynn Van Houston, 2022 National Mission United States Agriculture. I have my own Facebook page. Am I always on there? No. I actually manage the We Love Ag Tourism page for the Queens across the nation. So I help manage that. So am I on a lot? No. I'm usually answering 50,000 questions or working on something. But send me a message on there. It does have a messenger application on there. I'll answer whatever you can. But two, if you have any growing questions, call the local extension agents. That's what they do is they disseminate research from the university straight to their public. They can help you with soil tests. They can look at things and help identify things. They have a lot of great programs. The Master Gardeners can answer a lot of growing questions, especially in this area. They have experience with growing stuff in this area and the challenges you face. But that's the goal of Extension, is to disseminate research and come up with troubleshooting issues and all.
Sounds great.
So I've done some work with them as well. So
and like you're saying, it's very important to get with them because they'll tell you what you can plant.
Yes.
In the summer, plow it all up and plant in the winter months or the fall months. Just like Georgia's very famous for the peanuts and cotton. So they will rotate those fields back and forth from cotton to peanuts all the time to try to keep the soil.
Exactly.
Again, Kaitlynn Van Houston with us, 2022 National United States Agriculture. A couple of quick questions, and I want you to hang with us here as we get ready to close the show out. Number one, sweetest strawberries, Plant City or Bradford?
It depends on what you're looking to use strawberries.
I knew you was going to say that. Let's just say me and you went out to the field right out here and picked one right there in Plant City. Who's got the sweetest strawberries?
If you're doing something that's dipped in chocolate, we have larger, better berries for dipping in chocolate because when that heat hits it, it's going to come out a lot better. Now, if you're looking for one that's going to be straight out of the field that you can bite into, I cook a lot of the Plant City berries, but let me tell you, I like canning the berries around here. They come out and make some of the best strawberry preserves and strawberry jam. I won Blue Ribbon at the fair on my strawberry preserves.
Okay, from Bradford County strawberry.
Bradford County berries.
See, to me, and look, I've been to Plant City. Don't get me wrong, they got some wonderful strawberries, absolutely wonderful. But to me, and maybe it's just me, there's a sweeter taste with ours than it is to theirs. Is that just in my mind? Maybe
it
because
depends on the variety too.
Okay, true. Okay, I'll give you that. Okay.
Varieties. Some of the varieties tend to have a higher sugar content.
Okay.
So it depends on what field you're picking out of too, depending on the variety that they're growing.
Okay. All right. Favorite vegetable. What's your favorite vegetable?
Ooh, that's hard. Well, actually, tomatoes are a fruit, but we'll call them a vegetable for this purpose.
Okay, so tomatoes.
I love tomatoes.
You love tomatoes? Okay.
I make tomato salad. I make pasta sauce. You name it. I can use tomatoes for just about anything. Bell peppers as well. Okay. I love to steam asparagus. You name. I'll cook just about any of it. So.
My mom would go out when I was a kid and bring home 5-6 bushel of tomatoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
I would eat one of those bushes.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I love it. All right.
Tomatoes are amazing.
Your next, where are you going to be at? The next appearance right now, as far as your schedule goes, are you sort of open a little bit?
I'm open. I find different things through Facebook. That's the Facebook events tab. Anything agritourism, I find a lot there. Some people will straight up contact me. The Hawthorne is working on opening a farmer's market, so they've contacted me for their grand opening to come down. But I'm getting ready for back to school. Of course, you know, us teachers start back next week with free play in Bradford County, and the students come back the 10th. So, actually, my classroom, we're going from a grant from communities and schools. We're actually going to flexible seating. So if you know anything about flexible seating, it's supposed to be really, really beneficial to helping students learn where they're most comfortable, whether it's sitting on the floor or sitting at a table still. So they've given me a grant to help, especially with students with special needs and my gifted students.
That's awesome.
I get to go in and set up my classroom to have a whole new seating plan in there for flexible seating. I'm working on my gifted endorsement right now. Not only my agriculture endorsed, I'm also reading endorsed. So I'm working on my gifted endorsement, and that's one of the big things that they're pushing is flexible seating. And so I'm working on that now.
Wow. As you can see, a busy young lady is Kaitlynn Van Heusen. Mitchell's back there, 2022 National Miss United States Agriculture. What you got, man? You all right? You good? I know.
He's good.
He's good. I seen it.
He figured it out.
He figured it out.
When you're trying to have two shows
on
the computer, it's a little confusing.
I was just curious.
Hey, you were just practicing, man.
It was all practice.
It was all practice. But anyway, Kaitlynn, glad that you could come in.
Yes.
Very, 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 very informational.
Yeah.
I'd like for you to come back again on the show. Michael and Dave and Mitchell will try to get a hold of you to see when you come back on. Maybe we can expand on this a little bit. Yeah. Any comments, later comments, Mitchell?
No later comments that came on like that one. I myself would like to say thank you because
you're welcome.
You know, especially when you start hitting on some of the urban areas like that. That to me is a big thing that I wanted to make sure that we, that we address, because there are areas there's certain things that we can do in the city limits of Stark that are not, it's
not
illegal.
Possible
and but there are things that we can do, thinking outside the box. The urban growing areas like that sort of thing. That I myself, I would be very motivated to figure out ways that we could do that for some of these areas in the city that are currently, I'm not going to say blighted, but we could use those for, that there's some potential in out of the box thinking and development, which
and
I'm
there's
excited
grants.
about. So.
I was looking at one the other day for fruit trees.
Eyesores that we could get rid of and maybe put some kind of planting there.
Yeah,
exactly.
And, I like the idea of the fruit trees. I like the idea of. I know that the city, for example, is looking at doing some urban development and enhancements along the 301 corridor. This would be the perfect opportunity to try to bring in a more agricultural friendly environment to that. So.
I want to talk to you the next time you come on the show, Kaitlynn, too, and hopefully maybe in the next 2-3 weeks, month or so. I want to talk to you about, and something for you to put in your head and think about. I want to talk about hunger in this country, and I know agriculture and all that ties into this. I want to ask you about, just something for you to think about, our hunger issue, and I want to know from you at some point, is do you think we should have a hunger problem in the United States? Don't answer it now. In the United States of America, okay? And then that's something that maybe we can lead into the next discussion with, because you know how we feel about that particular, that genre right there. And I just want to hear what Kaitlynn has to say about that when she comes on our show next. Again, thank you for joining us tonight. We need the weather, and something that Kaitlynn hit just really quick on. Back to school already. These teachers are starting to go back next week.
That's right.
Kris is also a teacher as well. August the 10th, right, is the first official date, right?
As far as I remember, students going back.
Yeah, back to August the 10th for Bradford. Right, Mitchell? Does that sound about right?
That's it.
August the 10th. Right about 2 weeks, a little less than a couple of weeks, and man, we're back into the school.
Tax-free for school supplies.
Tax-free school supplies.
Hey, in a couple of weeks, I'll start saving money because that's 2 kids at the school and not eating up all my food.
Not eating up all your food at the house, right? Exactly. We were just talking about food, right? There we go. Exactly. So anyway, I want to again thank all our guests. I want to thank Mr. Kris Elkins for coming in and talking about the Logo Church. He's got a project coming up as well. Miss Kaitlynn joining us too. David, thank you for helping out Mr. Mitchell Gunner. Hopefully we'll get these Facebook issues resolved.
Exactly.
And we can get back to our VMix and our StreamYard. Maybe we use them both. I want to thank Mr. Mitchell Gunner for stepping in and joining us as well. Let me speak about Mitchell Gunner. He used to do a show on Wednesdays. him and his co-host got together and said, we think Thursdays may be a better day. Well, guess what? They're going to go ahead and change it. This Thursday night on The Spot Motorsports with David Rodgers, we'll have Jason Garver on as their guest Thursday night at 7 p.m. The time hasn't changed, but the day has. So I know we've talked about this, Mitchell, and y'all have talked about it. We just think Thursday would be the better day to get more viewers interjected into our lives.
And honestly, for those of you that it works out to where you're not able to watch the show, because you schedule your Wednesday nights and now you're thinking, Mitchell's moved to Thursday. What are we going to do? There's always team trivia at Fun Point on Wednesday nights.
I knew he was going to get that dig in. See, he just dug me because he wants to bury me on Thursdays.
You don't need to help him. Okay. Anyway, all right.
Either way, it doesn't matter. We're going to always get. We're always going to get our people anyway.
Exactly
so,
right.
All right.
Take a look at some weather real quick.
Yeah, let's take a look at some weather real quick.
Hey, let's take a look at the pollen numbers real quick. As you can see, numbers are going to be on the increase over the next few days. Kind of getting into that middle range here. And again, this is summertime numbers, not to be unexpected. This is what we're kind of anticipating as we make our way through the wind of the week. Regionally, you'll see what we're talking about here. We've got the temperatures forming in here like that. Upper 80s, right around 90 degrees here. Depends on the cloud cover. It's going to depend a lot on where you are, if you're going to get some rain showers or not. Hit and miss showers. Again, we saw it tonight. Over an inch of rain in some areas. Some areas didn't get a drop. But that is what's going to be happening around the region. Regionally for us, temperatures in the 90s, lows in the 70s. It's going to rain in the afternoons. That's all there is to it. It's the normal summertime forecast that you will see every day, probably for the next 6 weeks or so. I can tell you that's going to be the routine for the next 29 days until the primary elections coming up on August 23rd.
Which we did not get a chance to get into, but we'll put this on our page. All the local candidates, Michael's already printed this out for us. Yep. We will put this on the page so you can see it. Also, we'll go over it next week. Don't forget, Wednesday night, hey, Fun Point, Trivia Night, 7 p.m. sharp. Thursday night, hey, Downtown Grill, 7:30, straight up, trivia there as well. Again, thank you guys for joining us so very much. It felt great, guys, to do a show, didn't it?
It was good to get this.
Oh, my gosh, it felt great to do a show.
2 weeks.
I want to thank our guests, Ms. Kaitlynn Van Heusen and Mr. Kris Elkins, for joining us on a great show tonight. I want to thank the Dancing Destroyer, Dave Holland. He has helped Mitchell with the StreamYard tonight so we can be able to do the show. I want to give a special shout out to Mr. Mitchell Gunner helping with the show tonight, getting this set up. Great show, Mitchell. Everything looked well. And, of course, I always want to thank Michael Heater. He gets all our news together. He gets our weather along with Austin, gets all that tied in so we can have a great show. Thanks. And, by the way, he is running for City of Stark Commissioner, District 1. It's Michael Heater versus Mr. Danny Nugent. It should be a great election. Should be a great race. Hey, and all I got to say is, as we will all say, may the best person win.
And let me say this just real quick, because I know we're fixing to close the show out here.
Right.
I had somebody ask me, because I air commercials.
Absolutely.
And it is documented that these are that there's payments that are made. I'm not taking advantage of our show.
No.
Any candidate that would like to do anything, if you make your own commercial, Dave Holland has the ability to make commercials. You can contact the show through. Don't call it to me. Send it to the show at
Send it to us.
32091@gmail.com. Reach out to Dave Holland, whatever like that one. Any candidate that would like to have airtime on the show. I don't talk about the campaign, my campaigning. I pay for my spot, and that is how we do it. You can do the same thing. I myself would love to have candidates come in, perhaps have a little discussion or debate.
Yeah.
Would love that like that. And it's not just limited to city. You've got school board, you've got county. We would love. We've already had a few House representatives.
Yes, absolutely.
So we encourage you, if you're watching the show and want to be part of the show, whether it be through advertising that's paid for by your campaign, or to come on to talk about your platform, we invite you. We encourage it. We would love to have you as part of it.
And I want to back up Michael on that, and I'm glad you said that, Michael, because I've been wanting to say it too. Hey, look, anybody that has a political advertisement or campaign or want to come on the show, Republican, Democrat, non-party affiliated, whatever, you're welcome to this show anytime. And I do want to say that everybody pays for their airtime that comes on this show, any candidate. So, which to include, just because he's the director of our show, he pays as well. And so we'll just get that out there. Hey, it is what it is, but any candidate wants to come on, get a hold of Mr. Dave Holland, Mr. Mitchell Gunner, Mr. Byron Bagwell, even Mr. Michael Leader, myself, whoever. Hey, we'd love to have you on. It's always a great thing, because I like to hear what candidates have to say, because it is election time. I want to vote for the best candidate. I want to see what you got to say. And that's your American right. That is your right to be able to hear what candidates have to say, and it's the freedoms that our great founding fathers and all of our military members have given for this great country is your right to vote. And remember, hey, you don't work for city government or national officials. They work for you. They work for the people. Again, on behalf of Mr. Dave Holland, Mr. Mitchell Gunner, Mr. Michael Heater, our guest Kris and Kaitlynn, my name is David Rodgers. God bless you guys. Have a great rest of the week. We'll see you next Tuesday.